Where it fixes itself. Yeah. Yay. Okay, I'm going to try to be a little quieter here. And then... Oh my God, Danielle. Tipping 1337. What in the world? Thank you so much. Thankfully, we are not muted anymore. And I can tell you thank you. Thank you so much. That is so appreciated.
Thank you.
Right at the top. Like a big warm hug. Thank you. How you doing? How was your break? I know that you said you took some time off, and I hope that was restorative. And I enjoyed your Tai Chi the other day. Hello, Vault of the Killer Bees. Welcome in. Good to see you again. Dwoger, thank you for always pointing out when there's sound issues and letting us know when they're fixed. Perfect. Thank you.
We need you.
We are so excited. Red balloons. Love it. Red circles and red balloons. So excited for today's Synth Friends because we kind of missed everyone, if you can believe it.
Yeah. I definitely...
1 week off and I was like, I'm sad.
I know, I definitely
miss
felt
it.
more lonely.
Yeah, it was sort of like, because it's not that just we're like getting to hang out with people and connect all over the world, like when our friends from New Zealand join and the people that we have on the stream. I'm like, we're being like so inspired by each other's conversations and ideas and having so much fun. And like, it's so deep. It's so deep for me about why I enjoy it. So,
same.
But our time off was a lot of eating. We did make a lot of food for ourselves and enjoyed it.
Enjoyed a lot of food. Yeah.
A lot of food. So thank you all for being here for another Synth Friends. It's been, like we said, 2 weeks off. And today we have a brand new friend that we know through another Synth Friend. So when Tangent Universes was on our stream here for Synth Friends, Carolyn passed us on to Steven, who's patchbaydoor, that we're going to hang out with tonight.
Yeah.
So we have our wine ready. Is everyone ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let me grab mine. It's down here.
We must do a cheers to signal the start. And then I have to get back in to the Zoom.
Ho, ho, ho.
And thus begins another episode of Synth
Gobble,
Friends.
gobble, gobble.
Ah. All right. Let me jump back in. And we will bring our friend Steven, who is patchbaydoor. That's the music that he makes as patchbaydoor. So we're going to get back in here.
Hey.
And we should be able to hear, see, and cheers each other at this point. Hold on, let me get you on the stream. Hold on, I love it. I love it. Oh, gosh. Okay, so this happens sometimes. Sometimes when we set up the stream perfectly, and then when we come back to the live, it does this, like, random thing where everything goes away and I have to redo it. So it's like, why do I even bother, you know?
Hey.
Perfect. Okay, there we go. Cheers.
Clink.
I love it. I love how enthusiastic everyone so far has been on our streams when we're like, yes, we're just going to drink and hang out.
You know.
We love to see like what drink people bring, right? Everyone has had a different drink, so.
That's true. Are you? Is he the first person that has actually had wine?
Wait, do you have wine?
I have wine and mystery.
Okay, I thought you mentioned a flask. I've never heard of anyone carrying wine in a flask, so I just assumed that the mystery with liquid was in the wine glass.
We've got a yeah.
Are we open the patchbaydoor, Jax? Danielle, is that you saying that you can't hear us? I always want to make sure before I get too deep in the conversations that everyone can hear us, because we'll get really into it. We can hear each other, obviously, so that's obviously all working there. Okay, cool, good. I'm in this weird mood, like, recently where, like, I can't let a joke happen. Like, I have to be like, wait, what? And then it's like, it was a joke. This has been happening with him all week.
I mean, that's going to happen with me anyway.
That's true. Anyway, welcome in, Stephen. Thank you so much for cheersing us and for joining our chaotic stream. Our Synth Friends stream. And we were just telling everyone that we met you through Carolyn, who's Tangent Universes, right? Yes.
That is correct.
Okay.
Tangent Universe.
Considering that she is one of our favorite Synth Friends.
Yes, she's an honorary VIP.
You have a lot to live up to as her referral.
Listen, a friend of hers would say that. That's something Carolyn would say. So I appreciate it. And I lean in. Carolyn is a fellow Aries. So we've got some, we lean into that.
I'm here for it.
That's cool. And I dig Arieses, so I think we're going to be Synth Friends.
Ooh.
Right. Foreshadowing.
Love it.
It's really just wishful thinking, but yeah, foreshadowing.
There you go. It depends on whether or not you believe you can make it happen.
Yeah. I like
with our forces combined.
I like to swing for the fences, you know?
I think we're doing all right.
So how do you know Carolyn? Is it through synth picnic related activities or something completely unsynth related?
No, all Instagram, which is where, that's kind of where I hang out most of the time on the internet, in terms of synth stuff. And so, we became, you never know how you meet people on Instagram. You never know where it
explains everything, right?
Right? But you end up kind of like, hey, I like your stuff. Hey, I like your stuff. And then you like your stuff. And then you comment your stuff and you're like, hey, cool. And then you like, this is how friends happen, I guess, on Instagram.
Then you like them liking your stuff, and you can't really do that anymore.
Right, liking the like. You can do that, I think, with like shares. You can get pretty weird and inception-y with with
shares. That's what it is. It's the inception of it all. That's what's happening with stories. It's like stories and stories and stories, and I'm like spending a lot of time playing this puzzle game with stories now.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny that you said that. Oh, I love that story because that's this web that we've been weaving of Synth Friends is through this same way of like, it started with our having these conversations on Instagram with other people who are playing around with their synths, making like indefinable electronic, but also not always, I don't know. What are we all doing? I don't know. But we're doing something that we all recognize and we can see it and we go, yes.
Yep. Totally. That's a great way to put it. And I think you can even ask that question of like, how did any of us get started with this internet stuff? Like, or even with synth stuff. I think like origin stories for all of us are so interesting too. Of like, how did you
I'm
get
seeing
into
like
this?
a deck of cards now with all the Synth Friends. And they all get origin stories.
That's, we should ask him about his origin story.
I mean, that's such a great segue. We can't just leave it there.
All right. What origin story? Like how you start for people?
Like, I guess if there's any threads between like the work that you do that's real life and the work and the things you're putting on the internet.
Yeah.
How they tie together, how they got formed.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a professor at a university. I'm in Philly. Um, and I like my gig a lot. And I teach like in a media and communication department. So I teach like I'm teaching an Instagram class right now. So like part of that is to keep me honest.
Wow.
Um, so that like I kind of believe in doing projects with my students as they're doing them. So that like I get better at stuff while I'm teaching.
That's such a good
Um,
use of
and
your ideas and
yeah.
time.
Um, but the Instagram thing, I didn't start until the pandemic. Like, so when that started, I hadn't really used social media other than just like looking at stuff or connecting with old friends or whatever. Um, but like the pandemic got real lonely for me. Because like I got out of a long relationship thing and I was living with my son and we were just kind of like always hanging out inside and I was playing like, and so at that point, is this a swearing
Oh yeah,
party?
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, fuck savings. Like, I need something to put like time and maybe some love in to other than, whatever. Uh, so I got back into Eurorack after not making music for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And, and then, um, yeah. And then I was just like, I don't know, I need to like put it somewhere or maybe share it with other people. I had like a couple of friends, like in real life friends in Philly who were doing it. And
Sure.
then it like grew and it was really helpful, I think. And I made a lot of connections with people that meant a lot, particularly during a time when like I wasn't getting many hugs.
Mm-hmm. Dang, that's real. The
Yeah.
like the
So
power
like,
of the
yeah.
power of the synth, but like the power of community. Like this is like the thread that comes up every single time now is that there's actually a positive community in this Instagram bubble that we're all in and that we are like truly interested in what like each other is up to and like the how much that helps support our very isolated lives.
Yeah.
And I think extra isolated if you're an artist and you're exploring ideas that you need space and time and silence for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That was a great origin story.
Yeah. So that's like kind of it, I guess. And then I met people and I kind of, I had like some goals in mind, I guess, for what I wanted to do with that. And some of the built-in tools of Instagram, I think, are helpful, like the January stuff, which like I can't do much anymore. But the first couple, I was like, it was helpful to develop a practice for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think there are a lot of ways to get sidetracked and like petty on all that stuff. And like I understand critiques of social media, but I think there are ways to do it well in a way that like is harmonious to who you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I just feel like there's only so much time
Mhm.
and I'd like to give it to the thing I want to create and not worry about so much like critiquing what I'm not interested in. Like I can only give my attention to so much at once.
Mhm.
That's great. Ah, so you've mentioned a lot about like teaching and your students and like
Yeah.
that's like your main like
Yeah.
time spent, I would guess, right?
Yeah, that's my main hustle. And it's good. Like I get and like I lucked out in a big way. Like I'm super fortunate, not just for all the probably apparent reasons of like having a job and having a tenure track job in higher ed is really like becoming scarce. Um, but also I'm in an arts department, right? So like so when I release stuff, that counts as scholarship. And like, don't tell too many people
Yeah,
about this.
okay.
I don't. um, so like, I'm super fortunate. And I'm in a place in my career where I can make that stuff and I can teach that stuff to my students. And the more I make it, I think the better I get at teaching it. Um,
Yeah. That
and
makes sense.
the less I'm like writing esoteric bullshit, like academic articles written by like 6 of my buddies from grad school and making more things that I think are accessible and that my students can say, like, I can make that too. And I can find use for that. And I think that like accessibility in higher ed is sometimes lacking. Um, So I don't know. I feel pretty fortunate to be able to like weave together this kinds of stuff, and like what I get paid to do in real life.
Like there's a lot of, God, I almost said this word without prefacing that I'm gonna say this word, but like synergy. Like, I'm sorry, but like that was what came to mind, was just this idea that your life has like this kind of connected energy to it that is something we talk about a lot here with people who are balancing things that don't have a synergy.
Yeah.
That can feel conflicting energetically.
Yeah, for sure.
So I see, I receive sort of this like gratitude that you have for how your life is set up.
Yeah. And there are a lot of weird parts of my life too that like make up for it.
Sure.
Like, so I live in Philly and I live in Fargo, and I go back and forth every week, and that's hard and weird and tiring. And I don't love that part of my life. But that's also just life, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's going to be something.
Yeah, you can't have it all, it turns out.
It turns out.
I mean,
wow.
But but they're all choices too, you know? Like, I think, I don't know. I don't ever want to act like I don't have a choice to do stuff that tires me out or is draining or whatever. Like, I got choices.
That's so real.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm seeing a lot of things in the chat that I missed, so I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah.
Daniel's,
I saw tarot. I like tarot cards.
I was just gonna say, what's the tarot reference to?
What is that?
I don't know if it's a reference. Like, I mess with tarot a lot in my Instagram stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what they're referencing, or if it was something we said. Oh, and then yes, origin story. How were you conceived? We can just.
I was conceived in a tent in the Rocky Mountains. That's what I know.
Wow.
Pretty like okay with me. Like, that's like an okay way to.
That's pretty great. It's great that you
know
that
how
too.
You were conceived. Do you know your like life origin story?
No, I definitely don't.
No idea.
I feel like, you know, in my particular situation.
Oh, I think both of us were like tried for hard babies.
Yeah.
Like planned and tried for, whereas like my older sister.
That's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, well, that's the story that I know. But like, I was just thinking how you're
awesome.
right. Like my older sister has one, but mine is more just like we really wanted you and we tried and then we had you. You know.
Where were you gonna go?
Well, I was just gonna. I was gonna say that like we both would cringe at the idea of trying to imagine hear the story.
I couldn't.
Of where that happened with our folks.
Yeah. I don't need any more than that. Maybe they know that, and that's why they're like, we'll just tell you this.
Yeah.
You came from the stork. There were a lot of stork conversations.
Stork.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I probably would not find any answer cool. You know what I mean? In my room.
Yeah. Fair play.
But I love that it's so like
because I know it's not the Rocky Mountains.
I was gonna say the picture you painted. I was like, oh, that sounds lovely. I'd love to go there. You know, like.
Well, when I received that origin story, that wasn't welcome. But it was one day my mother and I were looking through, like, remember when we used to have photo albums and you'd look through.
Oh yeah.
And this was like their honeymoon when they went camping in the Rockies. She goes, "See that tent, Stephen? That's where you came from." And I was like, "Oh, girl," you know. And now But
no, you had your moment with it.
We've never gone back to conception on here before.
We're really trying to take it back.
This is the first. I've never really even thought about it before. Like, I feel like I've opened up new
new pathways
of my mind. Like,
that was all thanks to Dwoger, of course.
I feel like I'm gonna have like visceral memories from my childhood when I go to sleep tonight.
We have awakened Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys screen 2001 recently?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
okay.
we did.
I keep thinking about that because of your name. But...
Oh yeah, that's where it came from. It was a bad summer job plus like a then obsession with 2001.
Amazing.
And Patchbaydoor.
It's such a good name.
Daniel. Oh yeah, where does the name patchbaydoor come from?
That's.
Oh yeah, so I had a summer job once, and it wasn't a very nice. It wasn't a fun summer job. So I was like in an office and they gave me not enough work. So I had to just kind of pretend like I was working a lot. You know that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Every early job I ever had.
Yeah. So so I like started a Twitter account and I learned Ableton and I was
so
like, well, what should my username be? And so this is actually just the leftovers from a bad username I made. And so I was real into patch bays because I was circuit bending a lot. So I was building patch bays and I was I'm still into 2001, to be honest with you. But so I was kind of like, open the patch bay door, man. Right. So that seemed cool to me. So that's where it came from.
I approve. We did just watch it this past weekend and it is so long, and normally I would have a hard time with that, but we were like glued the whole time. And it's been a while since I've watched it. I've seen it a million times, but like everybody in the chat was like, it's always just as good as the last time you watched it.
Yeah. I mean, it never...
It's so good.
Never wanes.
It's so disturbing. Oh, hello, Powder Unit 1. Welcome in. There is a 2 drink and 3 swears minimum at Synth Friends, so... I think you already have your 2 drinks and a couple swears, so we're getting there.
All right.
I did mention something about making a deck of Synth Friend cards, and I don't know that much about tarot, so I wouldn't reference that. I was thinking more of like collector, like baseball cards or like comic book character cards, but I guess that could be a way so you could blend those 2 things and have the imagery be that style, but it's tarot. And that was a 2001 reference. Yes. Yes. Perfect. We're all caught up. So tell us more about tarot and like your interest in blending that with what you're doing with synth stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty big, well, you're movie people. I'm a pretty big Alejandro Jodorowsky fan. He's just one of my favorite directors and authors, frankly. And he wrote a book on, he's got moments too where you have to be like, all right, he's kind of like super cool, but so cool sometimes that he gets a little problematic. But that's a different conversation probably. Anyway, he wrote a book on the tarot. I don't know if you have read it. But it's pretty interesting. Because like his flicks, like especially The Holy Mountain, especially El Topo, dig pretty hard into archetypes of things and whatever. And so I read this book by him, and it's very, very detailed in terms of one particular deck, which he, of course, prefers as the Ur deck or whatever. So he kind of helped me get into that. And then, so his shtick about the tarot is that it's not like, we're not telling the future, right? Like that's not the point. Even like at best, that's a shtick. But maybe what it helps us do is it's highly suggestive art that if we sort of think we're finding something in it, we will find stuff in it. And so it's not as much telling the future or our past or our present, but it's a better like heuristic of what I see in art is probably a reflection of something I don't have direct access to. Does that make sense? So like your interpretation art says more about you than some types of therapy could get at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's beautiful. Like as artists, I think we all know that intuitively.
Exactly. It's very hard to put into words. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like, and so I have some.
Yeah, I like Daniel's comment there, and/or Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, yeah. Holy, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some Jodorowsky love in the chat right now. We're all on that wavelength for sure.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him a few times lately on the streams.
Yeah, he comes up a good
and in
bit.
The Discord. I think that's where we've been talking about it. Anyway, it's just been coming a lot. It's in the swirl. It's just there. So this is not surprising me at all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think because we did see that documentary recently, and I can't remember how much they talked about his tarot stuff or not. I don't know if I tuned it out just because like I don't have a container for that in my mind because I don't know that much about it.
Yeah,
or
I don't remember
they did or not. I don't know.
It talked a lot about his like graphic novel work after that with Mobius, but
it was like the mystery and the story of that whole journey. So they did talk about obviously his other work before even Holy Mountain. and things like that, which was, I mean, yeah, we could do like a whole chat just on Jodorowsky for sure. Like, that's awesome. I think just because we finished watching Andor recently, there's something with that and like the spirit of Jodorowsky, and like the new Dune is in the works, and like I just know everyone just keeps talking about these same threads. I'm like very interested to see how Jodorowsky just keeps living on and influencing us all in his very subtle undercurrent without people realizing it. I think that's fascinating. How does that play into the choices that you make with the music that you're crafting?
Yeah, so that's like, I guess I use that sometimes as kind of a, I guess a guiding heuristic in even patching or crafting something. So all my decks are in my like special room. I'm bummed I'm not hanging out with you from because everybody's always in their beautiful rooms. You're in your beautiful room. I'm in like not my beautiful room, which is okay. But I've got my decks in there, and so sometimes like when I go in there, it's just to kind of like hang out, and depending on what state you're in, relax and unwind and like get into some other places without anybody needing me. And so yeah, I'll look at some art, and that's some of my favorite art is a few of these decks that I have. And they're also always a little bit suggestive too, right? Whether it's like a conflict oriented or sort of like vision questy oriented type stuff, just to kind of maybe like prompt me in a way.
Right. I've seen
I'm
that.
also an writing teacher, so I'm used to like, I think I find a lot of value in like, here's a prompt, run with it.
Yeah.
Because like most of the time I'm not like trying to write a record or trying to write a song necessarily. So sometimes it's just like put me in a weird mood, and then look around and go like, I think I want to play with you and see what happens. And then it's just like a pretty thing on Instagram, frankly, too, to pair with, I think, beautiful instruments or maybe a performance or something. So I kind of like the pairing of that.
I agree with that. I think you're right, because everyone talks about the Instagram aesthetic, but I think that like leaning into it is, and taking it to another place.
Yeah. So maybe that's also like maybe a romantic version is like, I let the card guide me, man, and like whatever. And maybe like a practical side of that is like they're also visually appealing, and if I'm trying to put my music primarily like on a weekly basis on a visual medium, then like I can complain about it, but that's not going to help. And this is what I teach my students in my Instagram class. Like there are limitations to what we talk about preciousness. I have to credit my friend Jessica on that one, who like does social media consulting in Brooklyn for artists, and who I talk a lot with. But she always talked to me about like being precious. And a lot of people, like a lot of artists say like, so when I first started doing Instagram, my friend Jessica was like, Hammer, this is my last name. She goes, Hammer. She's like, for a multimedia professor, you fucking suck at Instagram. Like you need to think about this, right? And I say, well, she's like, you need to post at least 1-to-1 aspect ratio. Like I know you want to post wide frame everything because you think it like whatever. But like in me, and I'm sure a lot of people who experiment with social media feel the same way, is like, yeah, but I have some predisposition toward 16:9 aspect ratio because Jodorowsky does it or whatever, right?
I love it.
So I had to kind of lose my preciousness about it and say like, yeah, it's what I want, but it's also like there's another side to that, and that's like my first audience as a platform, and my second audience as people who are trying to enjoy content. So like, get over yourself.
That is such a good point. You can apply that to so many things. That's so true.
Yeah.
And it is usually just like that resistance is like holding you back, but we think that as artists that we need to self-define those boundaries and then stick to them and see where it leads us. So it's a hard balance.
Yeah.
But I think that what you said, it sounds like it set you on a path to now you're like in a groove with it, and now you have to make reels. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know, like this semester has been really sorry to keep talking about academia, but it's
No,
like
it's
my daily life.
It's who we're talking to.
That's what
Yeah.
you do.
But like this semester has been such a weird one for Instagram because I've said I don't know more this semester than any other time. Like last semester, I was like, change this, and then their non-follower ratio really maxed out and they were able to talk about it. Most of my students, by the way, end up going into like nonprofit comms. So they're running like audio, video, everything for like small nonprofits.
Interesting.
I'm trying to kind of like get them to understand how to get content out there in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
So usually like I was so good at this before and saying like change this and this, and this semester I just said I don't know so frequently because we lost access to so much. When you go into reels, which ostensibly gives you more exposure, you lose so much access to meaningful insights as to what's working and what's not. So it's actually made my job harder. I don't know if I need to...
No, I'm not surprised by that at all. Because I know what you mean. And like I said, a lot of the people that we bring on here is because we've been talking on Instagram and we're like, what about face-to-face? Like, what are we all into? Like, what are the real common grounds here? So, you know, it's really common to have these kind of, like we talk about like how the aspect ratios are just going to be like the death of art and like our souls, because like it's always changing and it's never enough, and it's like always a little bit different on that one versus that one, and just like where you have to place text and all of these things, and all of it is for the purpose of connecting. But then there's like these things that feel like roadblocks to it that feel arbitrary and frustrating, and this year has been like such a perfect example of that, because it feels like every platform is like overreacting to things, and like some things are breaking.
Yeah.
It's quite the interesting moment. I don't really have assessments because I have no idea, but it does feel strange.
Yeah.
Something is awry.
I just feel like as people who've been through a few evolutions of social media now, I guess one of my social media origin stories is that the college that I was going to was like one of the first schools to get Facebook. This feels so weird to talk about. But like we were like given this login to this thing where you could only talk to people who went to the schools. Not just your school, I think, but the schools that were part of it. It was bizarre.
You were on it long before me.
I don't even know. There was no feed. There were no walls. It was like just you gave all your information over to them, and then you could talk to people that were 3 doors down from you anyway. I don't know, but we loved it. And then one day you could put photos on there, and so we would take our crappy digital cameras.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
and
bad.
like try to find the right cable to plug it into our laptop or desktop or whatever to upload the photos. So it would probably take all day.
Yeah.
And then post them on Facebook.
That's so weird to think about.
I know, that was weird to think.
That's when I was reluctant to move from MySpace to
Facebook. Right? That was the overlap moment.
That
right
MySpace
there.
life was good.
I would not have gotten on Facebook if I wasn't given like in my handbook or whatever when I moved into college or whatever. It was like sign up for Facebook.
It's wild.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, I got on Facebook in 2009, and it was well after.
Was it that
Jacqueline
even early? I thought it was later than that even.
No, it was 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the year that we moved to Los Angeles.
It is. I remember that because I was throwing you a surprise 30th birthday party, and I'd been using Facebook to hide it from you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I'm going to get on Facebook. And I was like, you can't. I'm sorry. You're not allowed.
Yeah. She's like, Facebook is off limits for you. Only you.
I don't know
right
why.
Now.
For whatever reason, I was like, I had an event going in there. You know, that we used to use it for personal reasons. Like,
And
it's so weird.
She loved that I wasn't on it for so long. Like, it was like the perfect...
Such a long rant. I'm sorry. So much personal details. Oh, wow. Okay. Music, synths.
Yeah. You want me to bail us out with some synth talk?
Tell us your, like... What have you been playing with the most lately? What's been kind of
what led you to like electronic, like DAW-less kind of... That's a totally different question. Sorry.
Throw them all the questions at once, and then you can answer them in the order you want.
What kind of what led you to the world of making music with electronic instruments?
Circuit bending probably was my first, like, my parents bought me do you remember, I think you can maybe still find them, like electronic sets, like how to, like, you can learn, they have these springs and then you bend the springs.
You mean the thing we have?
I bet you would have one of these.
We do. Yes. Like 99 like things to do with this kit, this circuit kit.
You could make an FM radio. You could make a burglar alarm. That's what I wanted to make when my sister broke into my room or whatever. So it was like, but when you get a battery starve, that's when I learned about a battery starve, right? Like when that battery started dying in there, like the timbre of that burglar alarm. And I was like, that's kind of rad. And it's annoying to people, which when you're that age, you want to annoy people.
I love that.
I don't know how I got into, like, I played a little bit of guitar in high school, or, you know, I learned that, I guess. And I think it was that summer job. I hated that summer job, but a lot of stuff came from it. I learned Ableton because I think I wanted to, like, play Daft Punk type stuff or whatever, but I was also really into Flying Lotus. And so I was kind of like wanting to boom bap / I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was into it. And I thought, like, maybe I can try to do this. So I learned Ableton. That was my, like, intro, I think, to everything, because a cracked version of Ableton is affordable to a college student. So I made some stuff with that. I also had, like, I still have a Tascam 4-track that is just like, I had it when it wasn't, I had it when I was just putting guitar into it.
Amazing.
So I was like, I was kind of like putting those things together, and going like.
Were you gonna say you had it when it wasn't cool? It sounded like you were gonna say that. And I was like waiting for it.
I mean, I had it when it was like, when it wasn't the. Well, yeah, it wasn't cool. Like, I wanted something
I know
else.
what you mean. I guess my point is, if you were going in that direction, like, I was about to, like, be like, exactly, like, it was just another recorder. Like, it was, like, kind of like the shitty one, actually. If you couldn't get, like,
the digital boom and everyone was like, how dare you?
If you couldn't buy an audio interface, you could get a 4-track. Like, that was, like, my school of 4-track.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was like, I didn't want to use it, but I did. And like, I recorded my dad's old blank tapes and whatever, right? So I think that's kind of where I started. And then
that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, so I was doing like some noise music in college with circuit bent stuff and tapes and sample tapes and stuff like that.
That's right.
And then I got a job. I finished grad school and I got a job, and I got a grant my first summer to buy research materials. And I bought a system Cartesian from Make Noise.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So like, I got that with my grant money for my job. And I'm like, I broke the system. Like, I figured out. Figured out how to afford this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is where it started. I don't have any Eurorack right now, but that's really where everything started. Like, as somebody who could explore instrument design, which leads me to what I have now.
Perfect.
We made it, didn't we? All right.
Which, might I add, you have a very good taste in instruments.
Oh, heard it here first.
Thanks. You do too. Buchla is like, yeah, that's that's an avenue I want to travel, but I have not.
As you should. And I'm here for you when you want to.
Oh, I knew we.
Here to encourage you relentlessly.
I'm just here. Yeah, like, whatever you need, I'm here.
Yeah. So what do I like most? Like, I think if I had to sell everything, I'd probably be left with a Cocoquantus, a Ciat Lonbarde. It's like the dual sampler with also like a weirdo.
I'm aware. Yeah, like I love that thing. Yeah, that is probably something that, is on my if I could duplicate myself list.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like I know that involves a dedication of sorts. You know what I mean? Like almost like, like a shaman dedicates, his practice to, a particular area, like
getting deep.
Yeah, like I would want to get really deep on that, and I would want that to be my deserted island item.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
so cool.
if this version of myself, that would own one.
You're gonna clone yourself and send it to
because right now that's not the case, So like I guess what I'm saying is that's why I gave you the compliment of the good taste in instruments, because I feel like that's a really good one, and it's cool that you've like kind of gone that direction, and I commend anyone who goes down that road, because it's an unpredictable one from what I've seen.
It is, but I think what drew me to it first was its XLR input. That's one thing I really like about your jams, by the way. It's like vocals in synth music, I like a bunch, and I like to sing a bunch, and I like to put my voice through weird stuff.
Yeah.
I dig the vocals as well, so I think that was something that we both got excited about when we were watching some of your stuff. Like we were like, man, it's so cool that he has the vocal thing going on.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what initially drew me. I'm like, this is a vocal instrument. This is my vocal effects unit. It's usually, as you like, Jacqueline, what do you use for your vocal? Like, I know Space Echoes.
Yeah, I've got two Space Echo pedals. They're guitar pedals.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like,
yeah,
there are some dedicated vocal things, but I don't know. I haven't really gelled with them very much.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I find somebody that's like.
Yeah, exactly. So far in my journeys, this is where I've landed, and it hasn't steered me wrong. Yeah. So, other shiny objects have come my way, and I've tried some of them, and they just have that one or two things that it's just not what I want to do, or can't do what I want to do. And that I would definitely design something myself. If I was going to go that route. If I was going to change anything, I would probably, maybe that's why I haven't. Thank you all for this therapy session. Helping me realize, because I have had this same vocal setup for we like to try new things all the time as artists. Thank you for the follow, Connecticut. Okay. Sorry for the momentary hype over our faces.
Yeah, you don't have gas.
I like turned the gas off. Like I just turned it off.
Yeah.
I just don't look. I don't think about it. But now I'm realizing it's because the idea of it is so daunting. Of the things I've already tried that aren't going to fit the bill, and then designing something, whether it's with a combination of things that already exist, like I kind of already have, or like going even further with it and creating something entirely new just for people who are interfacing with DAW-less setups and synths, but also vocals. Like that's definitely an area. I think we're hitting on something here.
There's one thing I used to have that I don't have anymore that I love for my vocal, and I may sometime get back into Eurorack just for 1 month. I know you're Buchla. I know you've got some desktop stuff. Or do you have any Eurorack, you two?
Not currently, right?
Not currently. I had.
Sometimes it'd be like, well, I do have.
I had a little bit of
Surprise
Eurorack
things.
for a while. I had some like Metasonics. I
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
4MS
Oh, that's right.
stereo delay.
Oh.
I forgot
I
about
had like
you
a little
that.
effects unit. I had like the mutable the ring modulator. I forget what it's called. The cycles or circles or something
Yeah.
like that. Warp,
Yep.
I think is the name of it. Warps.
Okay.
Whoops.
Yeah, that's right. And then I don't know, I kind of got out of it because I wanted
Yeah.
to, of course, you want to add to like your main squeeze.
Yeah.
And so I got out of it and added probably a few Buchla modules. But I've settled on 18U of Buchla, and yeah, it's got like everything I need. Like I have one 1979 module, the stereo microsound processor, which is basically clouds, and I rely on that heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that would be a sort of Eurorack adjacent.
Yeah, it's like I have Eurorack in my Buchla with that one.
Yeah. And so I'll say this, and I'm not trying to give you gas at all, I swear to God. But I've thought about just getting 4MS makes those teeny tiny little
cases.
Yeah.
I've almost
Pods.
got one of those cases just for Magneto from Strymon. And you can't, like Volante, I think the pedal gets kind of close. But like, do you know Meng Chi at all? He does like he's one of my favorite instrument designers. Like he does the wingy and the wing pinger.
I am familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should look his vocal stuff up. It's fucking beautiful. He's one of my just like favorite. He's also really a kind person and generous. But he runs his vocals through Magneto, and it's like because it's got the delay, it's got a looper, and it's got like a harmonizing pitch shifter, and you can do all of them at once, and it's really beautiful. Sorry if I messed up.
You've penetrated my shield.
No.
You've penetrated my shield. It's happened. It needed to. I invited it, and it is appreciated. If of anything you could recommend, that sounds very up my street for so many reasons. I appreciate that. Because I will say, like, we do talk sometimes about, like, how can you get everything into a backpack, you know?
Yes.
And, like, go hike up a mountain and play, or go to Europe and ride trains.
Yep.
So the setup that I have right now would be heavier and would have to be rethought anyway. Not that I think that's going to happen, but it's something we all talk about here on Synth Friends. Is what do we take out with us?
That's the thing. I struggle. Well, I'm thinking about that now because I'm on sabbatical next semester, which is like, I know I'm like spoiled 4 times. So I have a project that I'm real excited about. It's mostly field recording focused, but I do want to bring stuff with me, and I'm going to be traveling a bunch. And so I've been thinking about that very thing. That's really why I have an Octatrack too. I know you've got an Octatrack. But you can do so much in there. I made a project in my Octatrack that's basically a Cocoquantus, and it made me feel sick a little bit.
Oh no.
Like I didn't want to make. I mean, just the part that I rely heavily on, which is like I love running vocals in to both sides, and sampling, and then using the sample and hold of the oscillator to do flips and reverses, and then also to change pitches. And you can do that with an Octatrack. Like that's pretty elementary for an Octatrack, but
it's definitely a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
that's actually something we talked about with someone else who the reason they didn't want it, right? Because you want certain limitations. It can be overwhelming.
I mean, it is kind of a Cocoquantus of sorts. So it's like you have a few Cocoquantuses, if you will. But I bought into this one eventually. Like, it's pretty new for me. I've used the other Electron boxes, though. I mean, like, going back.
You're an old school. Yeah.
Going back to the early 2000s. And I have a SID station as well.
Currently, it's not like you've always had this SID station.
I've owned like 3 synth stations, but I recently.
That's your makeup breakup?
Yeah.
One of many.
Yeah, one of many. I mean, I've done it with like the MPC. There's just a few pieces of gear where it's like, at times it's almost like, I see it like almost as like a library of sorts. I'm like, right now the MPC has to go back because I need to pay bills or to eat.
or get this other thing.
And then it will come back.
Well, it does relate too to like sometimes you're need a backpack of stuff to go field recording. Sometimes you're doing tours. Sometimes you're in the studio. Like, it's just different seasons. So
different seasons,
no
different
shame
gear.
on the flipping gear constantly thing.
But I definitely had like the the early Electron boxes, the machine drum and the mono machine, which are ridiculous prices now.
Yeah. We're clearly not in this for any kind of smarts. It's all just pure passion, emotion.
Yeah. But honestly, like those boxes like probably wouldn't interest me now anyway.
Right, that's the thing. It's like when you find out something you had that you sold that is now really valuable, it's like, but
I wouldn't use it.
You're just sitting there just to have.
It's still, I sold it for a reason, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, I passed it up. But the Octatrack is super cool because it has like the spirit of those older boxes. I think it's like the last device, and it's almost like my 2012 MacBook Pro that like I feel like I'll be able to like service forever because they like made that model for so long. The Octatrack kind of has that going on. Like they made it for a long time. So, I just feel like I could keep this thing forever and keep it running and make,
tool.
I'll always be able to
stable
use it. You know what I mean? So
okay, that was not an ad. Sorry, we're not getting paid for that, guys.
I know, that was a lot of Octatrack promotion.
A lot of Electron in general. I mean, we used to have like a box of Electron promotional materials.
They deserve it. They're like I would say Electron's probably my number 2 still. Like,
yeah, they sent you a lot of stickers.
Besides Buchla, of course.
Yeah, but Electron and Buchla are a good pair, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I definitely don't have like all the new stuff.
Yeah.
Like the smaller boxes. Don't have any of those.
The Syntact is their newest, right?
Right, yeah.
Done pretty well at, like, I'm pretty good at G.A.S. Like, I don't get too
keep it
wrapped up. But it helps too, like when you were talking just a moment ago, like I have this requires a longer life story, but I don't want to tell that. But I met somebody on Instagram and we realized that we lived in one of the towns I live in. He lives out in Fargo. This is in North Dakota for those who don't know where this place is. I haven't seen the movie.
Luckily, it's the one city in that part of the country we all have probably heard of.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I spend about half of my time there and most of my stuff is there. Like most of my studio stuff is there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I realized, or this person and I realized that we were in the same town. And it's as far as a small town, right? It's like 200,000 people. So it's like pretty small. But recently we've played some together and it makes me wish that more of us lived in the same communities or we connected more because like, I just lent him some of my Ciat Lonbarde stuff for like 3 months. And I was kind of like, I think when I get it back, I'm going to sell it. But when I got it back, I'm like, oh, you're so beautiful and I love you. And then he lent me his Enter, that Soma Enter. I don't know if you all have messed with that.
I haven't messed with it. Know of it.
I'm shocked you didn't hear each other recording. And yeah, sorry, I went to your chat for a minute.
No, it's fine. I'm following.
You didn't hear each other recording in far. It is small and very flat.
Oh, very flat. Gotcha.
So anyway, it's like my friend Patrick, I was just like, man, it's so nice to be able to share and trade and stuff. It makes me want to build like a big synth commune where you can just trade stuff and never buy anything again. So you don't need to really, because I think so much of it too is for me, like, and this, I've had this with other gear too. I've been like, I haven't touched this for a while. I think I'm going to sell it and do this thing that I'm interested in. Cause I have a very for as much gear as I have, a lot of it has been grant funded. Like I'm not that kind of doctor. I don't make that much money. But every time I do that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make like a couple videos with it before I send it off, just so I can like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I most of the time end up keeping it because then I'm like I spend more time with it, right? Like a good friend or whatever.
That's so true.
So,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Gosh, so you're traveling back and forth and still like have time to make music, and it's just wow, that's mind blowing to me.
It's unusual.
It's
Yeah, so like I fly out here. I'm in Philly right now, so I come out on a Monday, and almost all the time I go back on a Thursday night. So usually I'm flying back to Fargo right now, but I'm staying through this week. So yeah, usually like I get back and like I have kids in Fargo. This is why I go back to Fargo.
That I'm putting the pieces together. I love it.
Yeah. And so like I'll get them on the bus to school on Friday, and then like I usually don't have much work on Friday, so like I'll make music for hours and record some stuff, and then like do weekend stuff, and then come back here, and then that's part of what I teach my students too, is like, because they're like, they're like, Dr. Hammer, how am I supposed to do all this work, man? Right? Like, and I'm like, well, you need to be strategic too, right? Like you can't, I don't post in the morning when I don't make the stuff that I post in the morning, right? Like I make that on Friday night.
Right.
And then I keep it until Tuesday morning, because like for better or for worse, and I heard you all talking like earlier about maybe why YouTube might be more useful in the future, because it relies less on like you need to post regularly to like keep in the good graces of Instagram, which I find problematic and like infringing on our time and our energy like that. So I have no shame about like saying, hey, I only make music 1 or 2 days a week max, even though my Instagram might look like otherwise, and I don't feel guilty, and I don't feel like whatever about it, because that's like my fucking time, man. Like this is my life. Instagram isn't my job or my passion. It's a way to make friends and keep doing stuff that I like.
Heck yeah. It's definitely got a lot of uses outside of the things that it is trying to push you to do. Yeah, that's a really good point. I remember having that conversation about the different platforms. There is, again, it's just like this idea of feeling like things are shifting a lot. And it has to do a lot with like how we all feel about it too. I think we have a lot more sway than we think we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like using the way we use the platforms and the information that we share and when we do it and how often and all that stuff. It's like it really drives their reaction to how they keep molding it. It's fascinating. It's like engineering in a different way.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because honestly, like when I got, and I keep going back to, and maybe this is an interesting conversation, but I think it is. Like I think we're on Twitch, and this is going to be on YouTube, and we made a connection on Instagram. Like this is a real part, I think, about making, especially the kind of music we do. Like we're not playing in like classic rock cover bands that get regular gigs, right? So I think that like finding that community online is super important, and I think it's also important to be real about like what it means to be on these platforms. But like I had really specific goals about like, okay, if I'm gonna post 30 days in January for January, like why? Like for what?
Yeah.
Right? And this is something I work with my students on. It's like, okay, if you're going to start an Instagram, cool, but like what's the end game here? And this doesn't mean, I'm certainly not saying like you should be an influencer, because I don't think that that's practical for them, right? Or for most people, or probably for a college class, right? But like what are you trying to do? Otherwise you're just going to make shit right?
Yeah, or you're going to be constantly swayed by what the platform is trying to make you do, and you'll never know if it's like what you actually wanted to do or not.
Yeah.
It can be really confusing.
Yeah.
So you have to set the intention and then like tell the algorithm, this is what I'm going to do. So
Yeah.
shape
And
it
not
for that.
like, yeah, and then not be I don't know, because it's tempting to. So like, I'll be just frank. Like when I started that, I just wanted to meet other people. I wanted to be less lonely during COVID. And B, I wanted to release something with a small tape label. Like I felt like that was a pretty reasonable thing to like maybe connect with people and then just like have enough stuff out there to where I wasn't just going like, hey dude, do you want to release some of my stuff? But like, hey, here's some of my stuff that I've been working on. And maybe that would be kind of a demo reel, I guess. So that's why I started doing all this social media stuff, because I'm really a shy internet person in a lot of ways. And so that happened for me. Like, and I feel really good about it. Like, and I feel like I'm in a place now where I've met people. And I've released some stuff with a little label that I think is really excellent, Folded Note.
Ooh, speaking of which, let me drop some of your links.
Oh yeah. Hype.
Hype.
Yeah.
Let's grab your Bandcamp.
And you said the name of it's Folded Note?
Folded Note Records, yeah.
And where are they based?
They're kind of like half, honestly, the weird part is they're half in Philly, but I didn't know any of them in Philly. And half,
cool.
They're kind of, the founders of it are spread out a little bit. Yeah. But there's some good stuff on there. I mean, I would say it's definitely like hangs out in the ambient crowd. Okay. But the one record that when I checked them out, the one record that really swayed me felt very unusual to me in terms of ambient. So I was like, I kind of want to hang out here where I feel like I can, because I felt a little weird like making a release with vocals on it on an ambient label. Maybe, I don't know what y'all consider yourself, probably not.
It's hard.
But it is hard. Like when you get into electronic, it's like either like dance, some iteration of EDM, IDM, etc., or it's like experimental, which means you kind of have to be like atonal and arrhythmic.
Yes.
Or it's ambient, which means like it sometimes eschews like rhythm and vocal. So sometimes it's a strange space to be in terms of genre.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I suspect y'all know about that a bunch, and I'm actually curious about some of your experiences releasing and thinking about
that. Yeah, it's really interesting that you bring that up because it is something that we had to just not give any fucks about anymore. And we just decided that we're going to do what we're doing and we're going to try to do our best to explain what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I think felt like the best way for us to, God, this feels deep all of a sudden. I wasn't meaning it to, but like that feels the best way for me to like live my life most fully. Because we have done a lot of different things over the years that felt like they were maybe following some rules that like don't really fulfill me and really just hold me back from what feels like the purpose of life, which is freedom and exploration and connection. Ooh. Trying to keep it light, but that got a little deep. Just talking about genres. We talked about genre narcs with Carolyn, so I feel like this is a nice added layer to it to get more specific. There's not really the right genre tags on any platform for us. Like, it just doesn't... Because there's expectations. I think that's what we have to stop giving fucks about. Is like, okay, what are going to be the words or descriptions and the right combination of them that's going to attract a person who is going to understand, appreciate, and want to connect, and not just this huge net that's just going to drag everybody in, and like half the people are going to be like, that's not why I was here. Why are you trying to trick me? You know?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, it's It's a
I want to
constantly
say
evolving.
hashtag right now. Like hashtag. Like hashtag is an excellent example. Like to be legible, you need to have a discrete word or set of 30, right?
Yes.
That even just puts you in a conversation with people.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's like, I don't fucking know what hashtag this is. Like, is this? And I was talking to my students about this, about hashtags, and they were like, well, I don't want to use a hashtag that doesn't have to do with my post. And I was saying like, well, listen, not everything I do is experimental music, but some of it is. And so like part of, I think, knowing how to play the algorithm game is to say like, understand both what's happening in a distinct moment or a post, but then also understanding like what's trying to happen on a larger scale. Because this isn't about promoting a post. This isn't about virality. This is about connection, right? So it's not dishonest if you're like trying to develop an identity with words, because that's the imperfection of the system that we have.
Exactly. It's just really interesting to see how it's been reacted to or how it's been shaped, because we're just the ones putting the data into the machine. We're feeding the future that we all say we don't want. That's what I think is so sci-fi about life right now.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Somebody said in the chat, Ken says, should I continue to gas for hologram effects or run away? I have complicated answer to that, actually. Because one of the things that I bought and then I was like, no, and I sold it. But then every once in a while I go, is the microcosm. Do y'all know? Do you have this?
No, but I
must know.
Of it.
We know.
I know of it.
Yeah. Like I got it, and I was like, Ken, is that what you were talking about? I'm gonna just talk to somebody who can't.
Yeah, do it. That's what we're here for.
But they have like infinite jets too, I think is one of their bigger pedals, maybe. It's like pretty magical, that pedal. And I got it. And here's my honest thought. I paired that with the another thing I got rid of, the Soma, the Lyra 8. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Carolyn's hot on that, or she built
Yes.
Love that. Anyway, I had paired those two things and I felt, and I don't know if this is, maybe you've felt this before. Tell me if you've felt this before. Have you ever felt like something was too easy?
Yes.
And you like felt like it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, like a plug-in, and you're like, I don't feel like I did that, so I don't want to make that. Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, I think, is that like what makes me happiest is to follow the like other path that looks harder or darker or more twisted or has more of a journey and a mystery to it, even though I could take the easy road and accomplish my goal. That's not really why I'm doing it. I think we wove a web there.
Ken came back. Yes, the
Yay!
dreams, infinite jets, but for bringing analog into my synth rig. I don't know. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I sometimes miss that. And I've been getting into guitar a little bit more. Oh yeah. This might be it then, Ken, because like, as I've been playing more guitar, my father is a guitar player, a good guitar player. And I asked to borrow one of his acoustic guitars recently. And my dad is one of these, like, I don't know, he's like, I'm investing all my money in guitars and that's what you will inherit. And I'm like, that's not like probably the smartest fiscal decision, but I appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
So I asked to borrow one of them and he dropped it. He visited me recently and he said, you can keep this now. This is like, I don't think he's dying or anything, but he's just like, right?
You're an adult now. It's like,
so I'm like, okay, this is really special. So I'm trying to play more because it's a really beautiful instrument and I appreciate it a lot. And so now I'm like, I want to plug this into some stuff, right? And I'm finding myself really missing that pedal.
Well,
because
that makes a lot of sense.
It's good for guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
yeah.
story, I guess, about that is like, yeah, I had some guilt about it, but I think in the right context. Like, I don't think I like it for synthesis. I think I want to pitch my own stuff. But I think for guitar, when like your hands are tied up, you have guitars, yes? You play guitar?
I do, yeah.
It's funny you should say that because one of the recent streams we did was part of this group we're part of here on Twitch that hosts festivals every month, and the theme was we can't be serious. It was like, how can you do something absurd, out of the box, something you don't normally do, whatever, wilds. And Augustus was like, I'm gonna play guitar. It was wild.
How did it feel?
I mean, it's not like I hadn't put my guitar in my hands in 6 months or anything, but like it.
I mean, we can say that you started on guitar, bass, guitar,
upright
bass, guitar.
I actually did start on bass,
Okay.
but I mean, so early that like, cause my dad played kind of like your dad played guitar, like my dad played bass.
His dad was a professional bass player.
And when I was
funky
bass. like 70s, like house band kind of thing.
Lots of bell bottoms, yeah.
Yeah, bell bottoms and the whole nine, and harmonies, and and so like I don't know, he just like put it in my hands, but like when because he played bass, I chose guitar myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do something different because I'm that kind of person. I'm just always gonna go against the grain. And I played guitar, and I sucked really bad, and I still pretty much do. Like I've never really taken lessons. I've never taken lessons, and I've just kind of like taught myself, and like I just get interested in styles and like half learn them, and then like try to let them influence a little bit of what's gonna go into all the crazy effects pedals, like that's kind of my style of guitar. And so I broke out the EBow and just played some like fuzz pedal EBow wah stuff. Basically turned my guitar into a synth. And I mean, yeah, that was just a synth drone instrument. And
it's true. The EBow really took it to the next level.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that thing in years.
And yeah, I hadn't used it in years. I hadn't even thought about it in years.
I didn't even know you had it.
And I just ran it through the Buchla stuff and like, just did sort of like a different, ambient thing, but that was the first thing that popped into my head of like do something you don't normally do, and I brought out the guitar. But I miss playing bass actually now that I'm thinking about guitars. I want to like.
Well, it's similar. It's
we're
like
writing
we have
some
our
new
own
music. So.
We have our own little music instrument library here, right? Like now that we have a couple rooms instead of just one room. We're like, okay, we don't have to sell everything. Let's maybe keep some of these guitars.
Actually put some stuff we're not using in a different room.
Just what you said was making me think about what Steven said about the like, you let somebody borrow, or you just kind of keep it out of sight, out of mind for a while. And when you get it back, you like miss it, and then you enjoy it differently. And whereas when you're like hammering at something for a long time, you like lose sight of what you were even trying to do. There's a lot of lessons there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
But
I think going back to those, like, I think some of those pedals though are really good for hand instruments. Like I say, Ken, go for it. Like
I know, I love her. Like get it.
No, because I think I really might get back into that pedal.
I have a recommendation for that.
It's
type
sort of like a G.A.S.
myself.
ricochet has just occurred, I think.
Yeah.
Like
what is
Ken
your?
Ken had G.A.S. and then he asked you about it, and now you have it.
Yeah.
we just like passed it.
Oh my god.
Pass gas. Okay.
Pass gas to each other over the airwaves.
Shut it. We have to shut this whole stream down now. Nothing will top that. Okay, sorry.
But Augustus, what's your pedal?
I really only have right now like a couple guitar pedals, and a couple of them I don't even know where they are.
One of them is in a very fancy box. Do you still have that one?
Oh yeah.
I never know when things come and go, but
yeah.
It's in a velvet bag and a wooden
she's talking
carved
about
box.
The Jam fuzz phrase LTD.
So beautiful.
It's like a really sick fuzz. Like,
it does look like you'll find
fuzz
like
is
a
like my favorite
skeleton key or
effect, so I have like I'm a little bit of a connoisseur about the fuzz. I haven't. Daddy
And
has a nice fuzz.
A fuzz bass is like awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not really voiced for bass. This particular fuzz, like they do both like guitar and bass voicing, so it may not sound that great on bass, but like it definitely sounds awesome on guitar. But the one I was going to talk about was one that I got as a gift from my boss, actually. The Alexander syntax error 2. I almost forgot the...
Can I grab it, or is it plugged
Yeah,
in?
you can grab it.
I can grab it. I was like, is it plugged in?
But...
I've heard good things about this Alexander pedals, but I'm like really out of the loop with pedals. I can't.
Exactly. This was a gift.
Yeah, this is a gift, and it's like my only pedal, besides like a couple guitar pedals. Like, but yeah, like it has like, I think it's like kind of like a under the radar kind of microcosm vibes, because
cool.
It is a multi-effect pedal, and it has like, you know, just a really interesting lo-fi reverb, a like frequency shifter type ring mod thing. I think all the effects, you can like run like little random sequences on them and stuff. It's got some interesting modulation options. And it's just like, it's like a weird lo-fi multi-effects pedal. I don't even know if that is what the microcosm does, but I
think microcosm for me was like, I used it one way, which was like a delay plus a reverb plus a pitch shifter.
Okay. Yeah.
And I liked that. Like I have a song on my release with Folded Note that uses that, and I sometimes listen to that record, and that's the only track that I like really veered away from like Ciat Lonbarde, like whatever stuff. Ooh. And I like, it's a smooth track. Like I like listening to it. I think it sounds good. But then I think about the production of it. I'm like, yeah, but you cheated, man. Even though I didn't. Like, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like it wasn't, I think sometimes when I don't come up, like my favorite track on that record is something that I have no idea how I got there. Sure. It was just that thing, and it was like a fucking magical moment. And like that's why I like to make music, to zone out and whatever. And so, you know what I'm talking about, I think probably.
Well, the piece of music that was playing before we even started, that was my comment about it. Like, we just randomly selected some stuff that I did, you know, a while back, like on my own, and I didn't even know like how I came to that.
You were literally saying that as we were starting.
I was literally saying that before we started the stream. I was like, I have no idea how I got into that stuff. I'm pretty sure it involves a source of uncertainty in the stereo microsound processor clouds, you know, in some way. But like, I just, you know, I could never recreate, you know, this sound. It's just hilarious sometimes when you listen back, and
that's
you're just
my favorite,
like, man, I don't even know. I couldn't even get in the ballpark of this sound right now.
Yeah. There's something exciting about that, of like
absolutely
only happening at one place and one time, and like I don't know. So maybe we're bridging into like life philosophy or experience versus whatever. But
yeah, I think you're right. It's hard not to go there. But it does make me think about what you were saying before, and the reason why the type of music we're making and the way we're using the internet, it's like all tied together. I never thought about that before, so I'm glad this is coming back up again, because I wanted to be like, whoa, you just blew my mind. Like, of course, because we can't, we don't have that like third place. We don't have a bar to go play at. We don't have a shared community space, or a type of way of industry or whatever, or precedent for how we all stay connected in real life. So like, of course we're doing things this way. That just like, I don't know, that just like opened me up so much. I feel like you said this earlier about something he said. This is very, very inspiring chat for us. Thank you. We're getting a lot of like helpful information that we've been needing. But yeah.
Do you teach people?
Yeah, are you like some sort of mentor?
Yeah. I talk about this. I do. I talk about media like all day, and it does genuinely interest me. So cool. Like how that works, right? How we build tools, and then how tools build our practices.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
Like we make our stuff, and then it makes us back. Which is like kind of my 101 when I teach, is like we shape our tools and our tools shape us.
One thing that it's a little bit off topic, and I apologize for that, but we saw that you used the Electro Voice RE20.
Oh, yes, this is a very pressing question.
Yeah.
And we were actually thinking about picking one up as Jacqueline's main vocal mic.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I feel intensely about it.
Yeah.
So this is a recurring theme with me, but I got a grant over the summer through a local like arts. So I'm lucky in that I can kind of pick two communities because I live in two cities. And so I can kind of like, and again, like I'm a teacher, like I'm not poor, but I don't have unlimited resources. And so I do a lot of work to try to afford this stuff. And so anyway, I got a grant to work on a project this summer that had vocals in it. And one of my itemized lines was a new mic. And I've been using a Shure SM58 for a million years, and so is everybody else. And it's a respectable microphone, but I kind of wanted to try that. So I got a mic and I got a preamp for that mic. So that is one thing I would say about the RE20 is it's pretty hungry. So I would pair it with a preamp.
How would you rate an API?
What's that?
How would you rate an API as a preamp to go with that?
That's probably you've just gone over my head expertise wise.
Expertise wise.
That was very
I can tell you what I use. I use a DJ mixer because that's one of my favorite instruments in my studio is my mixer.
Cool.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And my mixer does not have phantom power. So I have like an unused cloud lifter for that RE20.
Yes.
In my studio. So I would say that was what I was going to use, but I can't use that. So I ended up buying hold on, I'm going to have to look it up because I don't.
This is so specific to our personal, like your journey right now. This is just for us
vocals. But I'm always so happy to talk with people who mess with vocals and electronic music because it's not like you can talk about oscillators and filters with a lot of people, but sometimes vocals feels
such a good point. I hadn't even really thought about how like special that is, and I think I just am so used to it not even being something we're gonna bring up really that much.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate this.
Same. Okay, I got the Golden Age Project pre-73 Junior.
Yeah.
It's like what is it trying to be? Let me look it up here. Oh yeah. I like how it sounds. I really like how that mic sounds.
That's good.
I like how it sounds through that preamp a bunch. I didn't A/B test a bunch of preamps. I just did research and I crossed my fingers.
Yeah.
There could be a better pairing out there. But I really like it. And so I have like a 2-mic setup right now. So one is the RE20 through that preamp and just like raw into my mixer. And then I have 2 stereo sends. This is why I got this mixer, because I have 2 stereo sends to go to my reverb and my delay. And then I've got a 3rd stereo send for my master. Like this mixer is a fucking dream. I love it. And the filters on it are excellent. And then my 2nd mic runs through the Cocoquantus. So I can like sing and sample mess, and they have really, really different sounds. Not only, of course, because like the Coco has such a particular noise and character to it, but that when I got that RE20 and I just like A/B'd them in my mixer raw, it was like the clarity and closeness of that. And I really like that in a vocal, especially with like a lot of heavily drenched reverb stuff that I like to do instrumentally.
No, this is like specifically helpful for that reason that you have.
Yeah, so I like a real close, like I like a close mic.
I don't want to have to try that hard to get like a lot out of some. Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So for those purposes, it was a purchase that I was a little hesitant. I thought I was being a little indulgent, but I have zero regrets about.
No,
that.
it's very not. I would say it's like on the low end of indulgent.
Yeah.
Now, because
sometimes I think, well, yeah.
like the next step up is you're going over 1,000.
Yeah.
If you wanted to improve on the tier that you're at,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's the world we've been in lately. Just facing the music.
I'll tell you what, though, the RE20 can be a little tricky. I've used it live twice.
Ooh.
In a loud and kind of small club.
Ooh.
And you better not be using any onstage monitors with that bad boy.
Wow.
It was pretty sensitive to feedback. So I will say that. I had to in the first show I used it at where they were running onstage monitors. The second I was like, don't give me any onstage monitors. I'm all in ear.
Nice.
I had to ride the volume of my mic to
yeah, I've definitely had to do that before. Well, when I use my effects, it gets, especially when we were playing rock venues and just showing up and being like, sorry, we're gonna do this.
Although
we'll run our own sound. We're gonna send you one cable.
I mean, that's what I do. I'm like, break. I have a DJ mixer, and I'll get 2 XLRs stereo.
Yeah, 2 XLRs, please. Goodbye.
Although I am a little bit like Chevy Chase and the Christmas Lights from National Lampoons about the fact that I have nailed being able to make live sound dudes handle Jacqueline's effects. I feel like I have literally mastered the art.
Well, the undercurrent of that is they don't really listen to me very often. We don't have to go there, but that's the undercurrent of why he says.
Yeah, I mean that's. We'll be real about
and I have to basically do some shady shit to make sure that it I give them the right feed that they're not gonna fuck up and turn up.
They always try to do too much.
I've mastered the language that I use so that they don't freak out. Because otherwise they're gonna be like, nope, don't do that here. And I'm like, dude, no, seriously, just massage this in. To the room a little bit, buddy. All I'm asking for is just a little taste. Just give me a little.
Oh my god.
That is an art, isn't it? Talking to the sound person. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we do more experimental shows, it's a completely different situation. Completely different. But when we're having a little nostalgia for the old days, I guess there's a lot going on in the chat. I'm just gonna check it out. Yeah. Is the Zola a guitar pedal? That's a question.
I know that's the one with it's got a bunch of soft buttons, right? Almost like a monome type. Is that right? Who said that? Ken?
That's Ken.
Is that what that is?
I think so. I think so.
I don't know anything about it, honestly.
Unfortunate.
I don't know anything about it either. I know that that's what that pedal is. I know that it's a multi-effects unit. Yeah. I know that they have it in both Eurorack and a regular guitar pedal. I know it's not a supported device from my boss's other company that I've been troubleshooting for. And
I hear it.
That's about all I know.
I hear the customer service energy happening.
Yeah.
But it's a synth and it's sequencer, Ken says.
Yeah, it's got a sequencer element to it, I think.
Okay, so Ken, you're asking for more advice about your G.A.S situation? Yeah, there's I think all roads lead to joy. So I would follow your bliss in this decision making. Welcome in. Obama's Weed Man is here, and I didn't notice that. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we talked a lot about how we like the happy accidents and the unexpected things and the things you can't replicate, and that's why it's so hard to put the right hashtags on our music.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Danielle, understanding running live shows. No one understands better than Danielle. Oh yeah, and there's the sexism, of course. That too.
It's deep.
It's all, we're all living in our unconscious biases. It's all just happening. It's fine. I can handle it.
Yeah, I'll never forget that time in Oakland.
Oh, when we played this show in Oakland, and after the show was over, the club owner tried to say that we owed him money.
No.
It was bizarre.
There was a place. Yeah, no.
I had to pull up contracts. Apparently, he sent me an old copy that didn't include the new language of "you have to pay me." It's I'm not paying you.
That's gross.
It was gross.
And then he pulled some sexist bullshit on you.
Yeah.
But we don't
I was
talk
able
about
to
that.
handle it because I was I was post-show energy. Come on.
Sure,
I was up here.
Fuck you. Like, you know who I am? Acid Planet. All the tables are made of sexism. I like that. That's good.
That's why they're always like kind of crackling. Not unreliable. Oh yeah, please don't chat and drive, Obama's sweet man. Oh my goodness.
Don't do that.
No.
Well, I feel like we have really had like a super awesome chat, and like I just want to ruin the vibes by saying that, and being like the least cool person possible. I really liked this chat. I hope we could do it again. Gus likes to ask everyone, after we have chatted for a while, do you think we can be synth friends?
Yes.
Oh man.
Cheers with empty glasses.
Come on.
Oh man.
It happened an hour ago. We became friends an hour ago.
I
We saw it in real time.
I got excited in the beginning, and like I was like, I bet we're gonna be good synth friends.
Yeah.
You know? And I thought I might have spoiled it, you know, because you know how like you say that kind of stuff and it creeps the other person out. You know, but like I went for it. You know, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be vulnerable right now with this guy. And I'm just gonna, you know, throw it out there, see what happens. It's a triple
yes. Even the chat says yes. I love it.
Yeah, this is a yes, a hard yes.
A strong yes. I mean, obviously, as we say, any friend of Carolyn's is gonna probably be a friend of ours. It's just the truth.
It's just the truth. Yeah, and
but my other thought too is
we've had
that
a great track record.
you're
with
in
her people.
Philly, and our very first synth friend is based in Philly, and he is our Kevin Bacon of Synth Friends.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know the Kevin Bacon game, but I love to say it as much as possible since it was part of my childhood. But Grant Bouvier, aka Midi Lizard on Instagram, is our Kevin Bacon.
Oh, well,
because everyone seems to know him.
This is super embarrassing because I'm not sure that I do. But listen.
That's so great.
Yeah, that is good because
now
more
it can happen. Yes. Yeah. We're gonna close the loop.
Midi Lizard. I feel like I know that username.
I think you do. See, this is why when people say they don't know him, and I'm like, but there's lots of indicators that you do. And so I'm like, just go to his Instagram and you'll realize that you do.
You know, plus we like to think that everybody knows Grant.
I want everyone to know Grant. I want the joke to continue as long as possible. He is also a professor.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
how do we not know each other then?
Yeah.
No, we are not connected on Instagram. I just looked this up, but I just follow him. So I'm going to say hi to Grant and say...
Okay, hey. Because if you know Carolyn, do you know Marianne Hedonia?
No, I mean, like,
we
are connected on the great whatever, but we've never spoken or like DM'd or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But
the threads are deep, right? Because Grant was our first synth friend. He recommended Marie. We had Marie on. Then Marie, I think, pointed us to Tangent, and now it's just like
in 20 years this is gonna get real nasty.
There's a lot of Philly people too, so I'm like, we gotta start corralling people there.
Yeah, there aren't. Philly's kind of a small town. In some ways, it's a small town. But I am very I'm a digital introvert. Like, I'm not good at the further it gets from this, the more I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And maybe it's because I learned how to make friends before that. And so some of this...
It feels there's something off about it, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get... All right, I'll get better at it. I'm going to reach out. I just said hi to Midi Lizard on Instagram.
Hey.
Well, that's a very warm handshake, you know, from us and Marie and Carolyn and everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a group hug at this point.
You just mentioned the word "the," and they're gonna know exactly who you're talking about.
I just think it's so cool because, like, we've had Sarah Bell Reed on, and she's also a professor. There's just a lot of teaching
Yeah.
and mentoring going on, and this community of people that we already feel like are really cool and positive, forces in the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Cut to a picture of the two of them in a conversation. Yeah, like you and Grant, just like next thing we know, you're like starting a super group.
It is funny how it works, though. Like how all that.
No pressure, but we think you're gonna be best friends. No, I'm just kidding. I don't
No
know.
pressure. That's funny. Cut to a picture of two of them at a conference. Yeah, I haven't gone to a conference in a while, but I'm hoping to, like, that's my sabbatical project. I hope to meet, I think I'm going to try to meet some like Instagram people in real life. Cause I'm doing like, it's not a tour. I don't think I'm going to be gigging a lot, but I'm going to be in a lot of, like my project in short is doing end-to-end recordings of all the lines of major metro systems.
Oh yes,
So, like,
I think I read about this.
yeah.
You have
So
something
that's
about
like,
it.
so I'm going to different, so yeah, that's like my secondary goal is like to maybe, those people who you're always like, dude, it'd be awesome to jam someday, right? So like say, hey, I'm coming to your town. Let me hear synths.
I love
Or
that.
whatever, but I think it's always fun when you can turn that stuff into something that lives beyond zero norms or whatever.
Agree. And I think even just like when I see that people are meeting up and I see that photo even, like it warms my heart.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, we're really out here trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a small thing.
Definitely not.
So I feel that that's very powerful. So you said in the spring is your sabbatical?
Yeah, like next week is my last week of the semester.
That's like,
and then,
that's right there.
like in January was my first like trip. So like January, February, March will all be USA, and then March, April, May will be like big subway systems in the world because I want to try stuff.
Oh, that's very cool. So is this just your sabbatical or is this also part of a grant that you have and it's like
It's a sabbatical and it's also like probably my next like 2 years of sound releases.
Gotcha.
It'll be like field recording based.
Yeah, this is very cool. I love this large scale project.
Yeah, because like I think about it a lot and I ride public transit a lot and I guess I move with people a lot. And there are just, I don't know, maybe it's trite, but like there are a lot of stories and a lot of things to be heard. And also like airports sound different and trains sound different. This started because I was talking to a friend of mine from the West Coast. And, like every time I ride the L in Philly, like some bullshit happens. You know what I mean? Like there's always a story in some cities when you ride their public transit.
Yeah.
And there are some public transits that are very quiet. Right? Mm-hmm. And there are some public transits that are a little bit of everybody. Mm-hmm. And then there are some public transits that are just for people who can't afford to drive. Right? So they're like, I think there are like more than sonic implications of how different train sounds, yes. Right? They're all different communities sound and different sort of public reliance on infrastructure. So it's a bigger project that will be fun, I think.
This speaks to like kind of some of our origin story too, because when we lived in LA, we didn't have a car.
That's my first city that I'm visiting. Do you know that? Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Maybe I'll ask you questions about LA. And
we know a lot about the public transportation system.
Did you ride the train there?
We also lived.
I did. I was one of the
we used it
few
a ton.
people that used it.
And it's
regularly.
so nice and cheap. It's clean and cheap and beautiful views. Mm-hmm. Our roommate when we lived in LA worked for the LA transit system, and he traveled to all the other places to like look at what's working for them and bring it back to LA. And like he was such a fun person to live with, and we were super into public transit. And I know other people who are like activists in that space in LA.
We can connect you with Steven.
So yeah, it's crazy that I'm like trying to hold back, but I'm like like we have to let's say.
And we lived in two different parts of town. We lived in Pasadena and downtown.
We lived in Little Tokyo, which is a
Little
different
Tokyo, right? And took
train than the
and
other
took
one.
the train in both places. Stephen was our roommate.
Oh, and then
we
out in
lived
Pasadena, you get like
Tokyo.
all the mountain, like your whole.
Oh,
view
that's
is
such
so
a from
gorgeous.
Highland Park into Pasadena was my work commute for a long time, and that's such a beautiful little run there.
But we also took a lot of buses.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
just trains.
Oof.
You're doing just trains, right?
You know, like if I do buses,
It's
then,
insane, right?
like New York's always already going to take me 5 days for
Yeah,
sure.
just for the
Yeah,
trains.
yeah,
Yeah.
But like buses that'd be like a year project. I
Yeah,
feel
no,
like.
this is just wild because
We lived in New York as well.
my like growing up, my dad worked for Amtrak and he worked on trains. Like he was a train, like I don't know what the word is for it, but he worked outside on trains, and then he worked inside also. But my like go to see where your dad works was always at big beautiful train stations.
They are majestic, aren't
And
they?
he worked in Philly for a long time, even though we didn't live there. He would take the train for free to work up to Philly.
Wow.
So yeah, there's just like I'm like gonna pass out.
Yeah, I would
from all
love
these
connections with people who are into this.
But like my whole childhood was about trains. Like everything was train related. You know, like all the decor and the holidays and everything was like we always had to dress up as train conductors and.
You were
you
were a train family.
I haven't thought about this in a long time. I just remember all of the train things. But the upside of that is that I became so educated about public transportation at a young age when I didn't live in a town with it, you know? And I was very aware about all of the issues with it and who had good stuff and who didn't and all the beautiful architecture. I mean, I don't think most kids got that kind of exposure. So we're like super passionate about public transportation and trains, especially in LA, where we also did this like weird project with Siemens, who builds the trains in LA, about like living sustainably as artists.
That's right.
Yeah, because we didn't have a car and we, you know, like all these things that we were like living without. We like grew our own food and I don't know, they talked to us about that stuff. I feel like I went into a vortex and I needed to come back to the present. That was like the trains took me
Well, I think it took us out because we actually been talking about Los Angeles a lot.
But you're
lately.
going to LA first. And
we
then...
miss it a lot, you know. It's like the city that we miss out of all the cities.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, for
And we've
sure.
lived in Brooklyn as well, you know, so we lived in New York I lived there for a year, Jacqueline lived there for 2 years, you know, but LA, wouldn't we agree, has been our favorite.
Absolutely. Ken, do you live in
City.
DC or do you just know about it? Because that's where I grew up. The
DC
DC Metro is like its own, it's very unique.
And it's huge. So I'm basing a lot of my visits on annual ridership. Now, some of the biggest in the world I can't visit, right? They're difficult places to visit. Namely, China and Russia are difficult places to visit.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, Ken visited many times.
Mm-hmm.
But like, anyway. So yeah, LA is first. So I'm going to do all my US stuff first. And then I'm going to go abroad.
Yeah, that's my curiosity is if you have those places determined yet. I'd love to know what they are if you're not sharing them yet.
No, I am. It's fine.
Okay.
It's again, based like on ridership. So like I'm going to do like in Canada, I'm going to do Vancouver and Toronto and then like LA, Chicago, New York, Philly, cause it's here, Mexico City. Oh. I'm not going to do any South America this trip, just cause it didn't work out. And then Tokyo.
Yes, I was waiting for it.
I'm going to get so lost and it's going to be beautiful. And I think that's going to be half of the fun of it too. Like I've been listening to a lot of Luke Ferrari. Do you know who this person is?
Wait, I feel like I do.
Like a music concrete dude who kind of like dialed back the mania of Schaefer's like, right?
I mean, obviously my brain's just going crazy about Pierre Schaeffer when you said you were going to do field recordings of trains, but we didn't get there. So Luke Ferrari, when you said Luke, I was seeing Luke, but then when I changed it to LUC, I was like, no, I know who this is.
Yeah. So he was real interested in, well, this is a whole other conversation, I suppose, but he really inspired, like he's kind of where I'm going with this. He's, I think, somebody that I think does field recording in a very, or did field recording in a pretty interesting and compelling way, which his big thing was like presque rien, which is like almost nothing. So it was like dialing back the frenetic nature of like
Yes.
speeding up, cutting, and like, hey, I'm gonna let you sit in a space for a minute, and it's gonna feel real immersive,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna tweak something to make you remember you're in a recording, and then I'm gonna let you hang back. And I think there's like something about that oscillation between realism and materialism that, for me as a listener anyway, I really enjoy.
Wow. Yeah, that
So anyway,
reminds me of like if you, because I just think about how Eliane Radique worked with Pierre Schaeffer and how they butted heads and she had to leave because she wanted to do kind of what you were describing. But the twist that you're explaining is that it brings you back and forth, whereas she takes you all the way away and Pierre brings you all the way up close. This is sort of
right.
like
Oh wow, yeah.
the blend.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So then, and then Europe, and I think I'm gonna do Istanbul to try to bridge Asia.
Nice.
So it's ambitious, but like, why not? Like,
Hell
not,
yeah.
I don't, people don't get this opportunity very often. So I'm gonna try to lean.
I think it helps that you have a focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a purpose and an intention and a focus and guidelines to it. And
then
you can have chaos within that, but the idea of like, I just want to travel, that can get really overwhelming. So I love, that's kind of why we love being artists, is we can kind of like put all these things together and create these experiences for ourselves with all these limitations that help us focus on like kind of enjoying the most about some aspect of it. That's well, obviously sending you all of the good vibes for that, being the experience of a lifetime.
That'll be cool.
Heck yeah.
Do it. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Those will be all my 2023 releases, I think, is all just processing those. And I don't know what I'll do with them yet, like probably feed them through some weird filters but just like finding different instruments. Maybe I need Buchla in my life. But right, a way to like send that through something strange and bring it back. Like, what are the tools then of like making something strange and making something immersive? So that'll, I think, be the experimentation part after I have them. It's like, what do I do?
That's the next layer of it, right?
Right, yeah. Wow, that just sounds
so
cool.
Fun.
And rewarding, there's just so many opportunities for reward along the way.
And I know just
a lot of fun recordings, and I'm going to make them all available like for free download for people too. I want to make that like kind of a library, because it's a special thing to record all that stuff. So
absolutely.
I don't know what I'm going to do with them, like how to make them available, but I think I'm going to just like do a lot of cataloging and then just release them for free on Bandcamp, just because like it'd be cool to work with samples like that, I think.
Hell yeah. That's dope. Yeah, I see Ken already has picked up on it. You need to go to the patchbaydoor Bandcamp now, because obviously there's going to be amazing stuff coming and you're going to want to know about it. So I'm going to drop that link back in.
Great time for the link.
Follow on Bandcamp. Boopity boop.
Yeah, when I watch your videos, there's something about your particular I've said this like a million times, I feel like, but like the particular selection of gear and the way that it all blends together. I just think that it's just very well curated and everything blends together really well, and like I can just see how you've made your decisions about what to use and how to use it, and it just sounds really good. Like I think you got a really nice sound overall, and like we get flooded with this type of sound, type of music, the style, the algorithm will produce a lot of Dallas jamming for me on my stream, and when I listen to yours, like I don't know, there's a quality to it. The video looks really good, like, so I just wanted to give you like an overall like shout out to what you do, and the quality level of it, and just the tone, you know what I mean, like the vibe and the tone of what you do is very pleasant, if you will.
I will. Thank you.
I will.
No, that's really nice. Because yeah, as you know, like it takes, I think, a while to get there. You know, you first maybe get stuff based on like who uses it, and then how you think it might sound, and then how it does sound. And I think that's maybe a sign of one of the good signs of getting older is like realizing, finding it, right? Finding the way.
Being able to like stick with it and trust yourself, and know that it can take some time.
Yeah. To
lock into something.
I mean, sometimes it takes going through a few SID stations, you know.
Just a
few. Before you find the magic in it, you know. Before you decide to make your own patch instead of just scroll through the presets. You know?
That's right.
Well, same for you all. Like I always love coming across, and I don't want to diminish the non-vocal elements of your stuff, because by the way, your drone record is like, I sleep to music. I have music play all night, and I need that. That's just,
I sleep to noise, so I guess that's technically sleeping to music.
And I sometimes do. In fact, I made my own noise record from the Cocoquantus buffer. I made a sleep record.
Amazing. We're all doing it. I love it.
But I've been but I have always been looking for good like drone records that won't like wake me up. And that sounds like a backhanded compliment, but it's not. So I've been really like enjoying that the last couple of nights, to be honest with you. But like also your more vocal forward stuff is I think I love finding that out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's sometimes at some points it maybe helps me feel good about what I make, and that
absolutely. Oh my gosh, it can be a lonely space to hold. Thank you, Hung Sheldon 69, which sounds like a fake name now that I'm saying it out loud, who just subscribed. You just made me say that out loud. I hope that you enjoyed that. Let's just say.
But
welcome to the stream. It's all adults here, so you didn't really do anything too crazy. Oh God, no way. That's so hard to believe. That's so crazy. Welcome in, I guess.
Welcome.
We're, I know, right? For God. What a fun moment to have during our like tender-hearted sharing of how much we appreciate each other's music.
Also, Hung Sheldon 69.
I mean, it just is what it is. Welcome to the internet, everyone.
Welcome to the internet.
I don't know what's happening.
1969 me.
Oh yeah, that really went there. Well, I mean, to each their own. This is a judgment-free zone. We're all about experimentation, so there you go.
Yeah. I like quoting Alanis Morissette too. So
it's hard for me to remember that that's Alanis Morissette when you do
it. Oh
it.
yeah.
But
you went a lot of places.
We went everywhere. Like I could definitely go down the Alanis road real quick, but I won't. Wow. Personally, okay, Obama's Weed Man likes the name. I think those two names go well together. I think you guys should start a group. Amazing. Oh God. Okay, let's see. Was there anything? Oh, okay. Just saying yes. Everyone make sure that you click that Bandcamp link and the Instagram and give patchbaydoor a follow on all the places and listen to the music, because obviously if you're here and you're listening to this conversation, like, you're gonna dig the music, and you already know that, so I don't need to tell you that, but we know that's the case. So when you are in Chicago, I don't know when that will be, I don't know if we'll be here, but if we are and we can make that happen somehow, like, we'll take the train.
Mid-March, I'll be riding the CTA.
Amazing. I don't think
I'll send you all a shout out before I come out.
Perfect. We'll see where we're at.
That'd be awesome.
We don't know exactly where we're gonna be, but if we're here,
the year's pretty unpredictable.
I like to keep things loose. Keeping it very loose right now.
But
Want to leave things open, but we haven't been to Chicago in a while. We live in between Chicago and Detroit, so.
It's been since Kraftwerk, yeah?
Oh, really?
you guys saw that tour?
Yes.
I did
So
not.
good. It was
Lovely.
like the perfect size venue too, because it was like just big enough to like be good sound, you know, big space, but not too big. You know,
Not a
it was like
state.
a theater, you know,
Yeah, it was
pretty
rad.
architecture and that sort of thing.
It's good space.
Good space, good space.
Nice sound.
Just for them to like take over with their lasers.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It
I'm
was
glad you
killer
got-
though. I mean, it was once
It
in
was
a lifetime.
fun, you know. There's just everyone is screaming along and everyone's reacting to all of the moments and everyone knows.
So triumphant.
It's just a very cathartic, like group joy.
Electronic Legacy Act is like
Yeah.
pretty rare. They're like the one of the few.
Yeah, they
at
could
this
stop.
point.
They could not be doing it. I appreciate it.
Right. Yeah, you don't get a lot of opportunities to like, I'm doing this to like, to experience this, right? And to be able to like say I've seen Kraftwerk. Yeah, there aren't many like that.
That's so true.
So yeah, great
It was epic.
opportunity.
I know.
Cool.
We've had a few of those, and it's been, again, like that feeling of gratitude is pretty intense. When you get to see an artist that you're like, whoa, I didn't get to see them at their height, and they're still doing it, and I can see them now. It's pretty special. Thank you, Ken, for being here. We will definitely stay connected. And I'm glad that you're going to check out patchbaydoor on Bandcamp. There are many Ken fusions. Okay. We'll stay connected. We got it now. We're good. Oh, wow. This was like, man, this is going to be a hard one to find a clip for because there was a lot. There was so much. And
There's a lot of gold.
we did a lot of synth talk too, which felt really good. And we sometimes don't even talk about synths at all.
We were a little overachievers.
So we were a little overachievers, making sure we got the synth talk.
We talked nuts and bolts. We talked.
So I love
synth
saying
stuff.
too, like if anyone in the chat has any questions for Steven, you know, speak now or forever send him a DM. I mean, most likely. I would say, especially if you have more questions, want to check out his music, like follow on Instagram. We have found it to be like a really good platform for what we all do specifically and how we all stay connected. And it's really fun to get lost in the inception of everyone's stories when everyone's sharing each other's synth stories.
Yeah.
So even though I know that Instagram is actually Facebook, we're all still there. And we're just living it up while we still can.
Oh, you mean meta?
Don't. I feel like if you say that 3 times, like something evil
Something
appears.
evil will happen, yeah.
Bloody meta, bloody meta, bloody meta. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's gonna be a TikTok. I'm gonna see that tomorrow.
I want 10%.
I know, right?
There you go.
Oh my god, 10% of 5 cents. Or enroll in a class. Yes, I don't know if people off the street can enroll in your classes, but if they can.
They can. I mean, they can't, but they can. It's too expensive where I teach too. I shouldn't. Well, I don't care. It is too expensive. College is too expensive. I teach at a small private university.
Okay.
It's
well,
it's lovely, but it's
we know how it is. It's a complicated landscape. And we're all just doing our best. We're just tiny ants.
Yep.
Running around. Yeah, he shows up and bans you. Oh, ugh. Cleanse the timeline with some herbs, please. Okay. Well, I think that we've actually probably exhausted everyone's questions at this point because we've inspired them so much.
Mm-hmm.
They need to sit with it.
Marinate.
That's what it is. Thank you so much. This was really, really fun. I'm actually like, I have to rewatch these, right? That's my job. I have to rewatch them and then clip them and all the things. So I'm actually really looking forward to like hearing this again.
It's definitely
yes.
one for the books. Yeah.
I love it. Daniel's planning how to enroll.
All right.
Exactly. I love it. This is gonna turn into like some sort of like comedy expedition where everyone tries to enroll in your class.
I love that. We'll make our own little There are enough faculty who do this kind of shit that we could make our own little thing.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
I
cool.
mean,
That's
like,
pretty hip.
Yeah, we could make our own school.
Yeah, you just get together with Grant.
Just do it. Yeah, it starts with Grant.
Yeah,
Right?
Grant, and then like there are a bunch of other people who like, yeah, every time I turn around, somebody's like, oh, so-and-so is a professor and they do this stuff too. Anyway, we can make our own.
I love it. We're going to make our own synth library commune school thing.
Oh yeah, and then we'll have classes. But everybody could teach because, yeah,
all it takes is 15 to 20,000 a year to ante in. Like,
yeah,
you just like you gotta ante up with the 20K.
Oh wow!
And,
just that.
And then we accept
just
you.
And I mean, most colleges cost way more than that, right?
But it's for us, by us.
For us. Oh no, don't say that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Get a Grant to work with Grant. Daniel, picking it up, throwing it down, spinning it around.
Get a Grant to work with Grant.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Grant.
Sheldon actually made a good point that I have to point out because it reminds me of when I watched documentaries from the 60s of like avant-garde artists who are all living in like the Lower East Side of New York and paying like $3 in rent. Mm-hmm. And just like making free expressionism things.
Oh yeah.
But now where they lived would actually be $8 million.
Oh right, yeah.
Find that place. There are places in North Dakota that are like that.
What?
I don't think they'll ever be cool though. No, they'll never be worth $8 million.
Oh.
Well, just the fact, yeah, just that obviously over time things change how much they cost.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
But yeah, I mean, we could talk about that because a lot of what we discuss in our group and our podcast is about early electronic music and like the origins of things, and a lot of that has to do with accessibility and low rent. Being able to live in an artistic community with access to machines.
Right.
It's like that's a whole we could do a whole we'll have to have you back and talk about like equity and things like that. Accessibility.
Those are interesting topics for
especially in electronic music that's more academic.
The multidisciplinary
people are lighting up now.
Of electronic music and media.
There's so much to talk about. Okay. Yeah. Oh, especially in Detroit, exactly. There is a lot of that going on. But then the pandemic shifted things a lot. So I am kind of waiting to see how that goes. This sounds like a Vermont situation. I actually don't know what that means.
Vermont situation?
I know, that sounds like something. I'm interested in what a Vermont situation means. I have to know. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I'm on an Urban Dictionary Vermont situation.
Do we still have ice cream?
I think so. Oh, I love it. We were talking last time we were on stream about how I'm Italian descent, Gus is Irish descent, and there's this whole Irish goodbye thing where he'll just leave a party without saying goodbye, and my Italian ass will be there like starting a whole conversation with people as I leave that I like never talk to the whole time, but at the door 3 hours
that sounds a lot like that sounds a lot like there are a lot of good Midwestern memes about like Midwestern goodbyes, which is like, well, that's stage 1. And then stage 2 is you stand up and you go, well, it's been really nice. That's your second. And then like 18 more of those. Gus, you're on to something.
Yeah, you're finally.
So it's just Midwestern what I'm doing. Oh my God. That's so funny. That's, so this is the running joke is that Gus would literally just turn the stream off. And I'll be like, wait. He does just leave sometimes.
I've left a few times.
He does.
Nice.
Okay, the Vermont situation. Okay.
Which one he's doing?
All right.
Doing the dishes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Vermont is just like the place for a synth community to just exist. Okay.
John Le Carre. I don't know. The Vermont?
I think Sheldon is making something up that I would, again, we started this whole conversation with the fact that I can't let a joke happen right now. That
And see, here it is.
Weird
You
spot.
become your own joke. Yeah.
Shut it down. Oh my god. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on our 13th episode of Synth Friends. It means so much to us that you made time to be here and be silly with us and talk about art and esoteric ideas about what we're all really doing here.
It was really pleasant to meet you too and talk with you more.
Agreed. Absolutely. Appreciate your synth friendship.
Likewise.
And we will obviously continue to carry this on into real life scenarios eventually. And I'm so happy about that. Thank you so much. Have an amazing, next couple weeks of life here in 2022.
You too. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the internet.
All right.
Later.
Bye. Oh, okay. That was incredible. I am having such a hard time because, I just want, we could just keep going and going. And now we have, with Daniel's help, we have a Zoom that doesn't kick us out every 45 minutes. So now we have to set boundaries for ourselves. That's too hard.
I know, you can't ask us.
I don't know how to do that. I got to work on it, y'all.
We can't
have to work on it.
Say goodbye.
I don't know how to do it.
I would just leave.
It was fun when we used to have the countdown timer. Even though I hated it, obviously I don't want people to have to get kicked out every 45 minutes. But the countdown timer would make you go
gave us we got 2 more left in us.
We got to say something profound, right?
Or we just used it as a gauge.
So good. Thank you all so much for being here, and I appreciate the sub and the follows and all the love and all the conversation and all the support and love for Steven. It means a lot that you guys extend that energy from the chat as part of our community, that we want everyone to feel really welcome and safe here to be themselves. And y'all are part of that, so that's really, really awesome of you. We are gonna watch a movie on Saturday that you can vote on now in the Discord. And on Sunday, we're playing at 6 p.m., which is later than usual. 6 p.m. as part of the Golden Shrimp Guild Sunday raid train. Thank you for the Discord. I meant to throw that in earlier. So movie night. So every stream this week is at 6 p.m. for whatever reason. And then we have this month we have a couple really exciting things. I'm covering my eyes because I want to just scream it all, and it's all coming soon, but I don't want to overwhelm everyone. So I'm going to try to let it unravel, but we've sort of wanted this month to feel celebratory and supportive because it can be hard when the days get so short and dark, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
The edge of a conversation we might want to have in Discord.
Fighting the good fight.
But we know that we have each other physically, and that's really helpful for us, and we want to be there for you and create good positive experiences and spaces for you to check in with throughout this month, as it can be a lot sometimes. End of the year, it's a lot. There's a lot of energy. So oh yes, thank you, Obama's Weed Man. We have our BOGO sample library deal, which, do I have that link right now? I don't know if I do. Hold on. You're so good at remembering this stuff for me. Here it is. Okay. I think this is the link.
You've got the link.
I've got the link. That if you want our sample libraries that Augustus has painstakingly created from analog sources, it's a buy one get one. So we have a Buchla sample library that has sounds from the Buchla, and we have a tape loop sample library that is a collection of digitized tape loops that Gus made for this special collection of sci-fi inspired tape loops. So that's what those are. And hopefully I can grab this link. And this is basically, I created this link so that if you want to just grab both of them and get the discount and everything, this link will take you directly to like checkout with the coupon code, and everything's just like already there. Because otherwise it's like too complicated to try to explain where to put everything to get it all to trigger the discount. So if you click that link, it's going to take you right there, and then you can just get it. So that's what we have going until the end of the week for the end of this like cyber sale time. Yeah, but we'll be back on Saturday for movie night, which I'm really excited about. Those are always some of my favorite times. So I love movies so much.
Who's winning the poll?
And I think the Black Hole is winning right now. So if you don't want to watch the Black Hole, make sure you go on Discord and vote for something else and campaign for it, because it's definitely going to win. Let's find...
What's wrong with the Black Hole?
Just if somebody didn't want to watch it, because some people say they remember it from their childhoods and that it was traumatizing. That's what most people say about most of these movies, to be honest, now that I think about it.
Yeah. I mean,
now that I think about it,
that's pretty
these
much...
movies are from most people's childhoods and they feel very traumatized by them. I'm so sorry. But there's also a lot
We are the purveyors of that.
There's also a lot of joy and nostalgia and like appreciation for the art form and that sort of thing that's involved. But we have like a stacked month of Synth Friends booked. We've got lots of new things that I'm about to announce to everyone very soon that you're gonna be really into.
It's so exciting.
So that's what we have going on, and I'm really excited to share more, but we'll see you on Saturday. Stay tuned. We're gonna go right into Sid Heresy right now.